Okay, so let's get started. We'll pick up where we left off. We will create a new document and we want to make this letter. So print legal letter. We don't need any margins. We don't need the background transparent. No bleed. Go ahead and create. Because I'm just doing kind of freestyle here, I don't need any guides, but you would drag those in off the side on the top, and then I would lock those if I needed them. So lock guides. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and recap a little bit here. So we were having trouble with our logo. We're redesigning this logo. I gave you the design brief in the previous video and talked about some things that we encountered along the way. Link is in the description for that one if you haven't checked it out. But we recapped, we talked about some of these logos, and each one of them kind of our thinking on it. But we focused in on a few of them here. So we focused in on this one. Links are in the description. So I want to go ahead and do an alt print screen on this one, and I want to bring it into my page here, and we will crop it down. Again, I will always recommend you pay for whatever you get inspired by. I am not going to use this as is. The only part I'm going to use is the idea of the circles, and I'm just using it as a reference. So if you're going to use this art, this stuff is so inexpensive, it's just criminal if you didn't. You know, I understand about being broke and a starving artist, believe me. But this stuff is not expensive. Everything that I put on the channel is not expensive. I will do my best to keep costs down because I do understand what it's like to be a starving artist. Okay, so we grabbed that one, and we liked the hexagon idea of this one, so we will grab this one, Alt Print Screen. And links are in the description for these designers on Avado. It goes directly to these pages. Move that up here. It's kind of like creating your palette before you start. That's what I'm doing here. I'm just creating my palette before I start. Okay, and the last one, well, we're not going to use this today for the design, but we did talk about how we really like the card, which we're going to do. We're going to do cards, we're going to do shirts, maybe a coffee mug, you know, with the new logo on it. And we're going to add a merch link to our website, and I'm going to walk you through every step of the way on how this is done. And, you know, obviously the merch is for sale if you want to help out. It's another way to help out in addition to subscribing. So if you haven't done so, please do so. We really appreciate it, and it does help the channel. And what else? So we also liked this one. And so I'm going to do an alt print screen, and we'll drag that in to our palette, and we'll size it with the rest. Okay, close enough. Works for me. And let's see. Server logos. That's where we got that. We got that one from typing in server logos. So, all right, that covers the recap, other than I forgot to grab our palette. And again, here's the Simply Web palette. So I'll do an alt print screen on that. And we'll minimize and Control V. So I like to grab my assets before I start, my idea assets. Okay, so there are some things that we have as a design brief here, so I like to write those down. All right, so that should get us started. So the first thing that I want to do, since we are talking about a hex, is pretty obvious, you know, and we are talking about green. All right, so let's grab our shape tool and we will get started. Our polygon is what we're looking for. Click and hold left on that polygon. We have 5 sides. So let's go 6 for hex. and just draw that. Hold shift. That'll work. But we do need to grab this green. That's our green. So we can do that. And let's go ahead and get rid of the stroke. So we got rid of the stroke and we have our green hexagon. I didn't mention in the other videos that I did look at spider webs. Okay? And we were thinking about something like that, but maybe not so dramatic. So I'll do an Alt print screen, and I will put this up here as well. And we'll crop it, add it with the rest of our icons. So what are the elements that make up a spider web? Well, you have the concentric circles, or if you will, drooping. You have a little bit of droop there, and you have crosshairs, like a target. So that kind of makes up the essence of a spider web. Okay, so that would mean that I want to do a Command J, and I want to start moving. Then I hit Control, and that'll bring it in, but then I want to constrain it so it's moving towards the center and away from the center. That's what Control does. And then Shift constrains it. So I want to do that, and I want to go Control J again, and that'll automatically, and let's do Control J again, and that'll automatically, as you can see, it made them, each one of them, smaller. But on these, I don't think we need the green color, and we can use the white stroke on each. And they're not giving me the same distance. I'm not happy with that. So I'm going to hold Control and Shift again, and I'm going to bring it out a little bit more. And I'm going to kind of do it by eye. See, I kind of like that distancing a little better. Okay, let's make the stroke. Let's make it 5 point. That's a little heavy. 3. All right, that works for me. First of all, let's take care of the spider web aspect of it. And you can go like this and you can bring it in. See? And now we have our spider web. And I can do that. I can go out to turn it into a circle. Let's bring in the curve to -20 looks good. We'll grab this outside one. -20. 20. See that? And I don't think I'm going to use this one. I think I'm going to get rid of that. Yeah, that gives me space to put my blade servers, because remember, when we actually go down to website size, it's going to be this size. And one of the first things I recognized here is I need to scale my stroke or my outline here with the image. So let's do that. And then grab everything, scale it down. See, and now the stroke scales with it. See, it's not so thick. And that's about the size. I mean, if you look at these icons, that's about the size for the web. So we have to be aware of that. All right, so that's a good start. Okay, so we're going to need to create some guidelines here for our crosshairs for these lines in the spider web. So here's one of the bummers about Affinity Designer is that their guide, dragging out a guide from here, isn't as robust as some other applications. But that's okay, because Affinity Designer, there's a way that you can do it without. This is why groups become so important in Affinity Designer. Grouping your objects is a good practice. So for this, I'm going to group this, and I'm going to actually call it logo. Okay, and I'm going to move this down here, and I'm going to call this all of these right here. Hold down Shift, highlight all my layers, Control G, and I'm going to call this brief assets. Okay, and I'm going to lock those, and I'm going to move them to the top. Okay. Now the logo is all put together so you can turn it on and turn it off, and now the whole thing is grouped, and if you want to work with each individual, you can, just by opening up the group. And the reason I'm doing that is let's go ahead and lock that as well for now. And let's go ahead and grab our pen tool over here on the left. And you can see that it's giving us a guide to run down the center. So I want to click there, and I want to hold my shift key down, and I want to click here. And what I want to do is I want to go back to my stroke, and I want to just make this 0.5. Okay. Let's take a look at it. Right now it's white, right here, but we can make our guides red. Okay. You can make your guides purple. Okay. Whatever works for you. I'm going to stick with orange. I'm going to try orange. I like orange. Okay. And now you can grab this, and now because it's a curve or a line, you can do a Control J, then you can rotate that. See the rotate? Hold down your shift, and you can go 90. Okay. And now we can move our logo, unlock it, hold down shift, lock it to the guide. Okay. Let's relock our logo. Okay. Let's grab our vertical guide again. Control J, tilt it, and it should line up there. Okay. And if you did a Control J, gives us that one as well. Okay. And now what we can do is we can highlight all of those, and we can, let's group them and lock it, and we can call it guides. So you can design your own guides for the object that you're working on rather quickly. It's an extra step. It's a little bit of a pain, but you know, it doesn't stop me from getting done when I need done. Now we have our lines here. So now we can get started on this web idea. So now we can grab our pen tool. Let's go from there. And we don't want it orange now. So let's go back to white. And now we can grab from here. See, we're getting our snap again. Here, oh, Control Z. Now, if I go again, Control Z, it's because this node is still highlighted. To get around that, Control D. And then you go to the next one, and then over here. See, and this one's highlighted, so you do Control D, and you're unhighlighted. Here to here. Now let's turn off our guides. Now let's call this, whoa, what happened over here? Oh, it did it over here. So we'll delete that one. Delete, and we'll do it again. Mistakes happen. They happen all the time, especially when I'm at the helm. Control D, here to here. Control D, okay? So again, house cleaning. So here's what I like to do as well. It helps, I like to go clockwise. So I start at the top, I look at the next one, and that's not going to be there. That's probably going to be at the bottom. Next one, that's going to be second to the bottom. Okay, this one. So we start here, we go here, we go here. And then we grab this one, drag that over. Now, you may be asking, what is the big deal? And that's a really good question. What is the big deal? Well, it's not really a big deal. It just helps keep your design in order, because it's not when you're doing it. You remember where everything is going on right now. It's when you come back 4 months from now and you're like, what was I thinking? Why? Okay, where is this? Where is that? That's kind of why I started labeling things. That's why you see in the videos, you see a lot of designers go house cleaning, or let's just clean things up. That's why. You just get into the habit of knowing that you're going to come back to it potentially later and be lost. All right, so let's zoom out and take a look at that. That's looking pretty good. So we've got our web going. Okay, let's work on our server blades. So let's do this. I want to call these hex. It's not really the logo. And I want to move these here. Okay, keep things in order. Okay, I want to turn off my guides for now. There's our spider web. Okay, so now let's do our blade servers. So let's look up here for our blade. We really liked this idea. So how do you recreate that kind of idea? So I could draw a square, excuse me, and I could rotate it. And let's just fill it with anything for now. Actually, I'm going to fill the interior with red. Now, if I do that, that's not going to give me the 3D look that I'm looking for. So, how do I get there? Well, let's take a look here. I know that I have the polygon tool, and then let's take a look at the diamond tool. Okay, look at that. Okay, so that's what I wanted. So it's the diamond tool. So that's what we want. But we don't want it to go that way, do we? So let's unlock our assets. Okay, and let's drag this one down closer to our design. And let's rotate it, because that's kind of what we're after, right? For now. And we'll use it as a reference. Well, let's scale it down. Let's put this back up to the top. And let's make this transparent so we can see it. These are all pro tips, so you can see what you're doing. Now, this is just an initial scaling. I don't know that I'm going to scale it exactly like this, because I'm not sure about this distance here. So we'll see. Okay, so that's going to work. And now we can grab this, rotate it back, put it back up. We don't need it anymore. And we can move our diamond down here, and we can scale it up. Shift, scale it up. And again, we can go back to our Control J, and let's move it down 2, 3, 4. Control J, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, that's confusing, right? That's not exactly what we wanted. See, this is what I'm saying about the scaling and whatnot, because we have to put it in here, or are we going to do it like that? Right? And so let's turn them white. That's kind of cool. I kind of dig that. But I think the original idea was that. And does that match up with our hex? It certainly does. Okay, and there's our guides. We're centered, I think. Centered-ish. Let's zoom out. All right, well, that's kind of coming together, isn't it? In the previous video where we did the brief, we talked about an S, and I'm seeing a slight S here by maybe changing this up. So let's make these 100%, and let's put this one in the middle, 100%. This one, yep. And now let's switch it to our green. Okay, wow, I'm kind of digging that. That's kind of cool. So let's grab these. They're a little big. I don't want to go too small, because remember, we're going to reduce this down, and we want it to be legible as well. But I believe that's our S, right? It's subtle, but it's there. Web, or simply web, right? And that's kind of what we're after. Wow, I think we're getting on to something here. I'm having concerns because now I'm thinking that I want to add my nodes here, right? But gosh, I sure got a lot of lines here, and this isn't looking simple. This is starting to look confusing. So let's group those. We'll call them blades. Okay. See, because here's my issue. Take a look at this. We grab all of this, and let's just group it all. Okay, and let's just Control J it. So now we have a copy, and let's size it down. See, that's looking pretty complex when you start getting down web size. Because remember, I wanted to put it in the previous video, link in the description. We talked about putting this all white down in the footer to replace the old circle logo. And that doesn't look simple to me. So I'm thinking, and I start adding nodes in there. I start adding these circle nodes. We're going to have a problem. So here's what I'm thinking. So we can delete this. I'm thinking, let's do this. Shoot, what am I thinking here? So I'm thinking, all right, so that simplifies it. Look at that. What if we were to just take one away? Look at that. All right, so, but is that going to give me what I want? I mean, it solves two of my problems because look, so I do a shift and I do a control and I start moving it into the center. That solves my problem. It simplifies my design and it gives me room to put my nodes in, right? And that's kind of what we're after here. And my blades can now shift control. They can come up in size, which is always a beneficial thing. I think I was changing the orientation. I think I just need to do control because if I do shift, I'm doing that. Okay, so let's start there. That's looking good. But you know what? Now that I think about it, shoot, why didn't I think of this sooner? Yeah, pressure. All right, check this out. So let's just do the web lines. All right, let's lock our hex again because we don't want that moving. All right, we'll go to our web lines here. We'll grab the top one. Let's bring that in and snap it there. But check this out. I just remembered this. So Affinity has got this thing called pressure. So check this out. I have not really used it, so I'm kind of experimenting here. Okay, all right. So that's kind of the idea, but I think I'm going the wrong way. Okay. So you hold down the Alt key. Check that out. So I had to look that up. I'm going to go to my node tool over here so I can grab the endpoints because I want to grab that node and I'm just going to arrow key up. So it gives me a little bit of a gap there. That is slick. Check that out. Okay, so let's grab this node. There you go. Hold down Shift. Okay, pressure, Alt, boom, there it is. And let's grab this out. Maybe past Alt, wrong way. Let's just draw it from here to here. And it's 3-point, swatches, white. Oh, and it's already got the pressure. Check that out. Go back to my stroke. Yep, now it's correct. And we can Alt. There it goes. Again, we're not perfect. So let's zoom in here. We can grab this node past, grab our node tool. And we can move that node right there, split the corner. That's why I like Affinity. That's quick. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Look at that. So that simplifies our design. So we can just zoom out here. That's about icon size. Take a look at that. Maybe a little larger. Okay. Now you can see that it just looks like a stained glass. It doesn't look like a spider web. But I don't want to get too dramatic on the curve of the web. And I also want it to be subtle as well, because I don't want it to look like Halloween either. So, but I'm digging this pinch, okay? I'm really liking that a lot. And maybe we can bring our polygon in a little bit. Control, Shift, and we bring it in a bit more. And this time we can grab all of our curve lines and we can uncheck Scale with Object. Okay, and now we can bring each one of those in by grabbing our layer. There we go. There we go. And maybe I need to fatten these lines. Maybe go to a 4 or back to a 5. Maybe 5 is going to work when you shrink it down. So, okay, that gives me a little bit more. Now, let's turn on my guides because I want to add my node group, right? And the node group are these circles right here. Okay, so let's close that down. Let's close that down. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, I need to turn on my guides. Not exactly sure how I'm going to do those node groups. This line seems to be off, you little rascal. So node group. So it's just basically a circle, but you know what? I think I'm going to have to thicken my lines. So let's do all of that. Let's up these to a 4. That's just experience. The reason I know this is because I have done a ton of icons, and I just know that in the beginning, I always do my lines too small, and I end up going back and having to thicken everything. So let's try a 4. I'm probably going to have to go to a 5, but I'm worried that they're going to be too thick at that point. So let's just leave it as a 4 for now. Okay, let's turn off our guides. And actually, I'm going to need the guides real quick here. So I'm just going to draw a circle and just go for it. So I want to take it from the center, and I want to shift, and that's got a stroke on it, I can tell. And I don't want the stroke. So let's go to our stroke, or excuse me, our swatches. Go here, get rid of the white stroke. Our cross lines here are somewhere in the middle of this line is what I'm thinking. Actually, I don't want this one. I just want it on the corners. I could rotate this image to where this is at a 90, and I may do that as well, and I'll do it off camera. You don't want to, I mean, this is already long enough. Control J. That comes down here. That comes over here. Control J. That goes here. Don't want that one. That goes here. Look at that. I made too many lines. Let's turn this one off. Let's turn this one off. And that simplifies it even more. Okay, I'm going to turn off my guides. Check my ellipses for order. Okay. Switch these two. Switch these two. Okay, good. Let's group those, call them nodes, right? Put that down here. No, we want it above everything. There we go. Turn off our guides. And let's zoom out. Wow, that's looking pretty good, if I do say so myself. You know what? I think we have a winner chicken dinner there. That's what I think. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up the old Simply Web logo. This one, okay? We'll copy that, Control C, and let's start a new page. New, letter, okay, Control V. Wow, that's huge. Okay, move that there. And let's grab our new one. Control C, Control V. Okay, and let's group that. Let's size it down. See, look, I didn't see what I did. Now we have to go back and we have to grab all of our lines and nodes and scale our strokes, right? So now we have to scale all our strokes to go down with it. So let's scale those, and let's scale our hex because they were too fat when I scaled it down. Okay, so now we should be able to, let's close our nodes. We can grab our icon. See, and it scales down nicely. Let's drag it up here. Let's just get in the ballpark. It doesn't have to be perfect. Scroll it down. Let's grab that, Control J, pull those up here. Okay, look at that. You know what? Let's turn this off. I'm kind of liking that. What do you think? I think it looks pretty good, if I do say so myself. You know, it really tick marks all the, it ticks off all the boxes that we wanted. We wanted something simple. We wanted to communicate network. We wanted to communicate web. We wanted to communicate server. We wanted to keep the green. Let's go back to our palette and let's grab this color. What color is that? 2E, 2E, 3A. 2E, 2E, 3A. So let's go here. Let's go to our swatches and let's go 2E, 2E, 3A. See, it's kind of a bluish gray, and I really like that much better. And we can grab that. Now, what I am noticing, I love this for the web aspect, kind of crosses like a web, but I'm hating this B. This B is just awful. It doesn't match the nodes. It's in this M, goes thick and thin. I don't know. But, well, let's see what happens. Let's just get rid of this. We won't get rid of it. We'll just push it out of the way. We'll bring these down. Let's make these all caps too, because I did like this one right here. I really like that a lot. That spacing, I like the spacing here and the small font underneath for tagline, but it's all cap. And let's try all caps. And let's pop it up to a semi-bold, it looked like. And let's space it out. 50, let's go 100. You know, and also it's a web address. So, I mean, that looks kind of cool, but it's hard to read, you know? And I do love to make my stuff easier to read by doing stuff like this. You know, but I gotta say that I just don't think that font is working for our needs here. It's just not cutting the mustard. This W is just sticking out now with this icon. It just does not flow. So what do I do here? What do I do? Well, let's go Google Fonts. Let's go take a look at Google Fonts here. I'll show you some stuff with Google Fonts that I like. So it says type something here, simplyweb.me, right? And what size do we want it? Let's take a look at our boxes here. We can probably come down to 47 works. Okay, a little trick here. Over here to font properties, remember in my previous videos when I talk about Google Fonts that I really, really like fonts that have options. So number of styles, let's just tick mark that. And it says all, it says 5+. I do a minimum of 4+. So what that does is each one of these will now have a font family of thin, extra light, light. It may have 4 or more. This one has more than 4, and we're not going to use that one, although that's kind of cool, but it's a little too blocky. I don't want to be that blocky. See, I love Roboto, but I use Roboto on everything. Noto Sans Japanese, but I don't like the blocky of the bottom of the web there. Lotto looks good. Poppins, but Poppins is too round. What? Jost. Is it Jost? Jost? I think we have a winner here. Yep. So you go ahead and download this. Okay. So we go extract all. There it is. Let's drag our zip into that folder. I know variable fonts are cool, but I'm old school and I play it safe and I grab all of these, right mouse click and install. And let's go to JO. There it is, JOST. Oh, look at that. And this is just for legibility sake. Okay, I'm gonna take my caps. Well, I'm gonna take this off. So maybe I don't have to retypeset it. There we go. -25. Let's go -30. And let's size it up. Yeah, that's about what I wanted. 24. Okay, and let's put this back up to 12. Let's drop it down. You know what? Let's grab our blue-gray. Let's delete this. Let's make this a little bigger and have it flow into the S, just kind of whoosh. Okay, there we go. You know, I don't know if I want this bold. I think maybe semi-bold. Let's take a look. Yeah, I think so. Boom. Think we have a winner, folks. And there you go. We did it, as my daughter says. We did it together. Okay, so, hey, I think this is looking really good. So in the next videos, what we'll do is we'll put it on the website. We'll swap out the old logo. We're going to obviously have to fix out some icons. Right here, we're going to have to switch these to hexagons. So, yeah. So we're going to do stuff like that. And then my wife, the marketing genius that she is, told me I should do some swag, or excuse me, merch. I'm old school. We called it swag. So we'll do some merch. We'll hook that up to the website. And if you guys want to purchase it, I'd love it. It'd be awesome. It's going to be cheap, starving artist, and you're promoting my company. I don't want to charge you for advertising. So anyway, maybe we'll do a giveaway. As the channel grows, we'll do kind of giveaways, give away some cups, give away some shirts, some hoodies, some caps, whatever. Maybe we'll do a poster and we'll get into Affinity Photo so we can maybe do a cool poster about tech or whatever. Anyway, more to come. I hope you learned something. And if you didn't, leave a comment. Let me know how I can do better. Otherwise, thanks for stopping by. And you have a great day. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I hope we get to do it again. All right, you take care.